So here's an update on our interview with Montreal Mayor Valérie Plante. We're not having Montreal Mayor Valérie Plante. So apparently she's running a little overtime today, and I'm sure doing a lot of media as well over that announcement from earlier this afternoon on Camille Wood. Alex Norris, Montreal City Councillor, is going to join us instead. Mr. Norris, we appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me on, Aaron.
So I will say for people who are just perhaps hearing this for the first time, the announcement earlier today basically means that if you are a motorist, you will no longer be able to drive across the mountain, through the mountain. Now, I think you should know when we started this and asked it as a question of our listeners, I don't think we got a single call from someone who thought this was a good idea. So, Mr. Norris, my first question should be, and maybe this is a bit of a generalization, it seems to me we're fixing a problem that doesn't exist. So why the announcement today? What does this solve exactly?
Well, it solves a whole lot of problems. Camille Wood Way is a really hostile environment for pedestrians and for cyclists. It is a scar that cuts through our most important central urban forest. It is dangerous for people who want to cross it, and it is used by commuters as a shortcut through the park. And here we have an opportunity, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to expand the park and solve those safety problems while acting to enhance and preserve one of the most biodiverse places on the entire island of Montreal. So I'm extremely excited about this plan, and I think that it will be embraced by Montrealers.
Well, I can tell you it's not being embraced by our listeners. I would also ask you why in 2019, that's only 4 short years ago, a public consultation undertaken by Projet Montreal said this was not a good idea. What changed between then and now?
Well, there are a bunch of things that I would say in response to that. One is that there were 16 recommendations in the public consultation report by the OCPM. One of them concerned vehicular traffic, but there were a whole bunch of other recommendations that called for more greenery, a safer environment for vulnerable users of the park, integrating the roadway into the park, and to the extent that vehicles were left on that route, that prevented us from attaining those other objectives. So, this solution is the one that best respects the largest number of recommendations in that report. But further, I would say, since that report, that was 5 years ago that there was the pilot project, and the world has changed since then. We've had a pandemic. The number of visitors to Mount Royal Park has exploded, as it has in parks throughout the city. And, there's been a continent-wide trend toward moving commuter traffic out of parks. It's not only in Montreal, New York City, Washington, D.C., San Francisco, many cities are moving in this direction. And we felt that this was a real opportunity to make a bold move to enlarge the park, increase the amount of green space in the park, make it safer for all visitors, and particularly the most vulnerable visitors, and to create a new attraction in the park. Camille Wood Lookout is kind of a dreary spot. It's basically a parking lot with a thin strip of a walkway where you can look out over the city. It's going to be transformed into something really quite beautiful. People wouldn't imagine driving cars up to the other lookout on Mount Royal, the Conjurant Lookout. Did you know that there used to be cars there? If we were to bring cars there today, there would be an uproar. And we have an opportunity to create something really beautiful and that will attract more visitors to the parks. I'm convinced that, this will be welcomed, as I said, by Montrealers. We're also going to be creating a new lookout looking north over Outremont toward the north end of the island where you can see the sunset as well. So there will be a lot of new amenities. And, when you walk on Olmsted Road on a weekend, it's crowded with people. We need new spaces for people to walk on the mountain, and this will provide a whole new, beautiful green pedestrian walkway all the way up the mountain.
I would just point out, with all due respect, the idea that other parks are doing the same thing. You mentioned New York and Washington. It's important, I think, to note those are street level parks. They're not they're not parks that cross mountains as Mount Royal is. So I'm not sure that's a fair comparison. But
I can give you another example.
Okay, I don't need another example. I want to ask you, how will people be able to get to this mountain? You talk about people who are not going to be able to take a car. How are they getting to the top of the lookout exactly?
Well, there are different ways. The plan is to improve bus service, and certainly the frequency of the number 11 bus route will be increased. The park will remain accessible to people arriving by automobile and by public transport, and people can also walk and bike. And it will be a fully universally accessible pathway. So, and we're looking at providing a service for people in wheelchairs, or people who have difficulty getting around on foot, so that this is accessible to everyone. The goal here is to give the mountain back to Montrealers rather than allowing this very dangerous high-speed roadway to continue slicing the mountain in two.
With all due respect, it's not a dangerous high-speed roadway. I'm guessing you've driven across it, as I have as well. There has been one serious accident. Let me ask you a question. What happens, and I posed this earlier on, the next time, let's say this plan goes into effect, and I know it's not happening today or tomorrow. I think 2027 is the outline, is it not?
2027, that's correct, because we want to maintain vehicular access to the mountain, and there's work being done on Remembrance Road. So we want to do it in phases.
Understood.
So that the mountain remains accessible to all users of the mountain, including those who arrive in vehicles.
I know Valerie Plante made an issue today and kind of pointing out the fact that environmentally this is a concern as well. That's part of the rationale for doing this.
Absolutely.
Someone asked the question, if that's the idea and that's part of what's going on here, why not let people who drive electric vehicles be able to go? They're not polluting that space.
Because electric vehicles can still kill and injure pedestrians, and the presence of vehicles on a pedestrian walkway really undermines the experience of pedestrians. Can you imagine if we had vehicles on Olmsted Road, how that would change the experience of pedestrians on Olmsted Road? It would be unthinkable. There would be an uproar. The goal here is to create another Olmsted Road, because Olmsted Road is crowded. We have to plan for the future of the city. We can't be. This is a project that will be here for the next 100 years, and we need to plan with that in mind.
Mm-hmm.
There are new transportation alternatives that are being built. There are going to be 2 new REM stations right near the mountain that will provide better access as well. There's a move toward greater use of public and active transport. And we know that maintaining a car-focused transport system is not only totally unsustainable environmentally, it is also just not viable in terms of public space. We don't have the space to put all those cars. It's not realistic to plan for a car-centered future of our city. We have to be pragmatic. We have to think about how people are going to get around in the future, and everyone driving their own private vehicle everywhere is just not in the cards. It is not viable.
So you're talking about the future for the city in general. Now, we've moved beyond the mountain. You just don't think that it's a good idea if we look down into the future to see that cars should be on the road at all. We're not going to be traveling that way in your estimation.
Well, we have to move toward a less car-centered
How do we do that?
Well,
if public transit is limited, you've described the situation. You described the situation over the mountain, saying you'll improve service on the 11 bus. Who exactly is that going to help for the people who can't walk up that side of the mountain? Are they all supposed to take the bus?
Well, it'll improve things for public transport users, but it will the mountain will also, the heart of Mount Royal will also remain fully accessible by private vehicle. And I remind you, that there are parking lots that will be maintained at Smith House and at Beaver Lake. There are also underused parking lots all the way around the mountain. The Royal Victoria parking lot sits empty the vast majority of the time, is accessible to the public,
sure.
And from there you can walk 15
near the
minutes
road.
And be at the Conduronk lookout.
Okay.
So,
Look,
we have to be more ambitious for Mount Royal, and accepting that we have a highway slicing through the mountain in this day and age is just a non-starter.
It's just a roadway,
it's dangerous,
not a highway.
It's hostile to pedestrians.
Okay.
It's hostile to cyclists. and we have an opportunity to expand the park. So I believe that people will rally to this view, and this is the right way to be going.
We shall see. Mr. Norris.
I mentioned Gatineau Park. I think it is relevant because Gatineau Park is also involves a very significant rise, and that is shut down to automobile traffic for the vast majority of the year, and all winter, and for all but 3 afternoons every summer. So it's handed over to cyclists and pedestrians. And
Understood.
That was one of our inspirations for this decision. It's been a huge success and very popular.
To be determined. Listen, I'd love to continue the conversation, but we're out of time. I very much appreciate you coming on with us today. Thank you so much.